It's 21 minutes past 1 o'clock, 22.5 degrees. In the studio, joining us now, like I mentioned, is Nicky Howe, CEO of Southcare. And, of course, aged care in your home is the most important issue that you deal with, Nicky.
Absolutely, because that's where everyone wants to stay, isn't it? They actually want to be in their own home and in their own community.
They do. You know, which leads me to the Royal Commission that's been announced into aged care.
Yes.
And I think all of us are reeling about what we have seen on television programs and on the news, of course.
Absolutely.
With the way people, not everyone, and a lot of aged care facilities do not do that, of course, but some unfortunately do. So today, last time you spoke about fee and charges, and today you're going to look at the Aged Care Royal Commission for us as well.
Yes, look, I thought what I'd do is I'd try and demystify the Royal Commission, sort of talk about it in layman's terms, and really encourage people to think about telling their story. Because I think, the good aged care providers in the community, and certainly we think of ourselves as one of them, we want the services to be good. And if people are not happy with the services, or they've had incidents and situations that have not been good, we really need to hear about them. Mm-hmm. Now, I know that's really asking people to disclose, but I noticed in your introduction you're saying, look, you can ring up anonymously. So today I'll briefly talk about the Royal Commission, and then really sort of raise why people don't complain, and then hopefully we'll get some people calling in and they can ask me some questions. Yeah,
there's I would say definitely some good stories as well. And it's not like it's a today incident. I mean,
it's not. It's been going on. The issue with aged care and the funding has been going on for a very, very long time. But I think, Jenny, because, we are seeing that big baby boomer cohort moving into aged care. So, the baby boomer now, the earliest baby boomer is 72 years of age. So they're moving in and thinking, okay, well, what are the services that are available to me? So there is going to be that, in some ways, that tsunami of people. All of a sudden wanting services. So, let's just touch on the Royal Commission. So as people will be aware, the Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, announced the decision that the government would establish a Royal Commission. And what they're really looking at is they want to primarily look at the quality of care provided by both residential aged care providers, which we saw on the television, and home care providers. Good. Okay, so it's both. It's residential and it's home care. And they also want to look at including young Australians with a disability who might be living in residential aged care, which of course can be quite disturbing because they're young and they're actually with... That has been a situation for a long time as well, hasn't it? It has. So let's hope that because of this, changes will occur. So it really is a great opportunity for people who are in receipt of aged care services and their families to share their experiences. And so the question is, well, how, what is a Royal Commission? How does that go about? So really the main thing about a Royal Commission is it investigates issues that are set by terms of reference. And at the moment, the government hasn't finalised those terms of reference, but it would be fair to say that generally the sorts of things that they are going to be seeking information on would be things like safety and quality, access to aged care services, access to health services in residential aged care, the workforce, as we've seen on the television, the sort of regulations, whether there's appropriate funding, and also the different payment systems. So we're assuming there'll be the things that they'll want to find out about. From the public. And so they set up a chief investigator who's a barrister, and they've got this team of lawyers, and what they're tasked with doing is gathering information, particularly case studies, undertaking interviews, and they will hold public hearings. So we will see, they'll come to Western Australia and they will hold these hearings and they'll do these investigations. It'll be well publicised as to when and where. Very well publicised, and you and I can touch base on that, when we know when they're coming. Now, it's going to probably last about 12 months, and I suppose what we've seen really over the last 12 months, particularly with aged care is the sector's been exposed to a number of reports, investigations and media, and that's really why this commission has come about.
Yeah.
So, you know, we've heard instances of elder abuse and neglect, questions about staffing levels and workforce challenges. Wrong medications, absolutely. The demand for care, and one that you and I have talked about quite frequently, Jenny, the issue of the wait lists for home care packages.
Oh, as well.
You know, and whether there's adequate funding. So all of these things are going...
This is a good thing.
Look, I do think it's a good thing, but it's only good if people tell...
And contribute.
I
think people will be happy to do so, to be honest.
Yeah, and so...
This time round.
Well, I hope they do. And I think, you know, what I want to point out is when people think about, well, you know, why would I bother telling my story? What's in it for me? Is that sense that we can't change and improve if we don't know.
That's very true.
You know, so we really need to encourage people to tell their stories.
They haven't started the Royal Commission, but
No.
investigations have been carried out, have they not, into aged care?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
And yes, because, you know...
They have named and shamed a few.
And they have, and that will continue because there's other processes that are available now in terms of, you know, if you're unhappy. So there's the Aged Care Complaints Commissioner. You know, so if you're unhappy, you can certainly complain to them. So there are avenues for the public now. I mean, of course, the first avenue is if you're unhappy with a service, you should be telling the service provider.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Can I just also put the point out that the people that work in aged care, they should be contributing information as to... No excuses for this disgusting behaviour, but they could perhaps put some more light on the pressures they're under, the lack of staff, if that's the case, why these things are happening. They've probably got about 30 people to look after, and one patient, unfortunately, doesn't want to comply, get into bed or do what they should be doing because they've obviously got a situation, and therein lies a problem, the root of the problem.
That's right, yes. So look, aged care providers certainly will be... Contributing.
Yeah.
I was going to use the word invited to contribute, but actually we'll be compelled to. So,
okay.
Yeah, so the Commission has, laws to actually compel you to provide information and evidence.
So people telling the story of, you know, a sad story about a relative of theirs, their parents or whatever, up until technology have stepped in now with closed-circuit telly and stuff like that, which of course has brought all this to light a lot more visually, obviously. It's something that they could only have an instinct about, I suppose, and assume. But assuming something doesn't make it correct.
Yes, that's right, yes.
But now, do they need to have photographic evidence to present to say, I think my mother has been mistreated? Or?
No, look, I think that if, you know, let's use the example of me, and say my mother is in residential aged care, which she's not, but if she was, and I noticed some things, maybe I noticed that there was some bruising, which was one of the things that was raised.
Ones.
The obvious, you know, maybe she was highly anxious, she kept on, you know, raising an issue with me. I would be talking to the staff. That would be my first point of call.
They would probably not admit to anything.
Well, they might not. So I'd talk to the staff, then I'd raise it with the manager. If it didn't go anywhere, I would actually put it in writing. So I would, you know, actually write down what my concerns are. And if those concerns are not addressed by the service provider, then I would contact the Aged Care Complaints Commissioner.
That's fine. If your mum, as an example here, we're just saying that, if she was able to communicate properly with you, in the instance, of course, with someone that's suffering with dementia, Alzheimer's, it's a completely different ballgame.
Absolutely, and I think you make a great point there. So one of the great things about us being the carer or the loved one of that person is that when we sit with them and we spend time with them, we do notice changes.
Okay, yeah.
And I think it's really important for us to start to, you know, to pay attention to things. And I think one of the, you know, and this is a genuine concern, is that people do put their loved one's family in residential care facilities and they forget about them.
That's very true.
You know, and they might visit them once a month.
Terrible.
And you know, we have a responsibility of that as that person's loved one to actually go and see them and pay attention to them and give them that social support that they need.
Do you know what I think? I think that people are intolerant of
aged people. I think
right.
I
think it's a very sad situation that with our culture that is the case. I think there's a couple of reasons for that. Probably people don't want to face the fact that they too will one day be in that position.
Yes.
They are intolerant because maybe the older person has become a bit childlike and they can't communicate well with them, and it's all too hard, and they've got their own families. And in other cultures, of course, that's never the case.
That's right, because often they live with them.
They do, very much so.
Yes.
We do have somebody calling through. David, good afternoon to you.
Oh, good afternoon, Jenny.
Yes. Hi, David.
Hi, David.
Hello, Vicky. Yes, Vicky.
Nicky.
Sorry, Nicky. I'll just start at the beginning, if I may. My wife's been in aged care now, or permanent aged care, for well over 18 months. And we all read, or we all listen and watch these programs about these people who are put into these places that don't work. They're not very nice. Now, I was interviewed by a lady from Curtin University called Barbara Bundell, and I was asked if a person could have a little chat with me about what I'd found. And what I've found is that people are asking me lots of questions about, well, you've got your wife into care, how did you do it? And I've sat down and I've written a little booklet. I had 100 printed and I've only got 25 left. And it's just a gold coin donation. But it's called A Layman's Journey into Aged Care. And I've written it, and it's going down very well. I've taken it to seniors groups and people like that, and they're all appreciating what I've written, because it goes through everything, starting with the enduring power of attorney, slowly going through RADs and DAPs and lawyers and everything else and everything. And could you, if you get me off air, I wouldn't mind having an email.
Yes,
address.
David, I'd
send you a copy, please.
Yes, that would be fantastic.
That's
because we
great.
can. That's a really valuable resource that we can help you to get out to people.
Yes, and I'm going down to the retirees meeting in Forestfield tomorrow, and I hope to catch up with people there. And I'll take some copies down there with me to see what they think about it.
You might need a reprint, I think, David.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I am actually. I'm having another reprint done now. Yeah,
that's great. Well, David, if you don't mind, look, I reckon that is just absolutely admirable of you to do something like that.
Too.
Because
I'll see Nita Sadler tomorrow and show it to her.
Yes, Nita at Retirees WA. I'll tell you what, if you don't mind, David, I'll get you to go. I'll put you back out to Barry out there, and if you could leave your telephone number, and Nicky will probably be in touch with you.
Yes, I will, David. I'll be in touch.
Yeah.
And if anyone else wants to get in touch, they will so too. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Nicky.
Thank you.
Isn't that terrific?
That's fantastic. That can be a great resource for people.
That's what we're talking about. People
educating people.
Educating, and we all do need to be educated because we turn a blind eye.
Yeah, until it happens to us.
Oh, don't say that, Nicky. It's going to happen to us. We have to be prepared.
Well, we're lucky if we... It's a privilege to get older, Jenny.
Yes, but the other one's not too good.
Exactly.
Margaret, hello there.
Oh, hello, Jenny and Nicky.
Hi, Margaret.
Nicky, I'm just wondering, because there's an unfortunate situation that's arisen where people are now having to wait over 12 months after they've applied for the pension before they get any payment. Has there been any mention on your side regarding funding to shorten this waiting list that has now stretched well over 12 months?
No, Margaret, look, the government has just announced has just announced an increase in funding for home care, but not for home care packages. So the funding will go to Community Home Support Program, which is the low-level care, but it will mean that more people can enter at that lower level quicker. So the government has just, within the last few days, approached aged care providers asking them if they'll accept growth funding. So the government is attempting to address that issue, but certainly in terms of home care packages, unfortunately, the wait times are still well over 12 months, and the actual number, of course, is, is increasing. So, I really encourage you to make sure that you get assessed. Have you had an assessment, Margaret?
Well, it's not for me. I'm just concerned about the situation.
Other people, yeah.
It's absolutely deplorable that these people have to wait over 12 months just to get an assessment.
Well, the Royal Commission now might change this.
Yeah, look, Margaret, they don't have to wait 12 months to get an assessment. They have to wait 12 months to be allocated the home care package. Right. Unless they've got a bit. So those packages are allocated on a needs basis. Right. So if somebody does have a high need, they will get allocated quicker than the 12 months. But in general, it's 12 months.
Yeah.
So it's not a 12-month wait list for an ACAT assessment.
No, it's not. You can pretty much get an ACAT assessment within a month.
Right.
And if you need an ACAT assessment, you can contact Southcare and we can organise that for you.
Yes, yeah. Well, I'm just thinking of other people because, there's a lot of people who need help in the home. Their families are all too busy and don't do anything.
Trouble.
Yes.
And they have to rely on either friends or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not ideal at the moment, Margaret, but hopefully with the Royal Commission and everything coming to the fore now, that things may change dramatically because we're fast ageing population.
Yes.
Thank you, Margaret.
Thanks,
Thank you for
Margaret.
ringing.
Thanks, Nicky. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay, we will just take a break because we've got Rachel that's going to talk to us in just a moment. Sorry, I'm not talking too well myself. So if you have any stories you'd like to share...
I pass them and go straight to somebody else.
Oh, no, look, you can bypass them, Rachel. You can go straight to the Aged Care Complaints Commission. I'll leave... the number is 1800 550 552. Now, you can either call them directly or you can complete a form or you can write a letter.
Oh, good.
And you don't... you don't have to wait. You can do that pretty much straight away. But I would encourage you, if you are unhappy with your provider, to actually have a conversation with them. Now, I know that people are concerned about complaining. And do you have a concern about, complaining directly to them?
Well, my mum does. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
she doesn't like confrontation. So
yeah. And sometimes they feel like they might be penalised if they complain, or they might
reflect.
Fear of retribution.
That's not good.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Have you got the number, Rachel?
Can I get it off a website or?
I'll give it to you. Have you got a pen or not?
No.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, I'll get Barry to ring you. If you could keep Rachel's number, we'll ring you back with the number and just get a pen ready, okay?
But if you Google Aged Care Complaints Commissioner, that will come up.
As well.
Yeah, that's what I'll do, yeah.
Okay, thanks for the call, Rachel.
Okay, bye for now. Okay, hello there, Jenny.
Hi. I'm just ringing. My mother had low care package at home.
Yes.
Which was really good. She got 2 days out a week at a day centre where they do activities and stuff, and cleaning once a fortnight. Then she got assessed because of her dementia and got ACAT assessed for her aged care 4 package.
Yes.
The highest one.
Yes.
Which she got approved for. So we got a provider out to see about that. And the provider then started to say how the government was giving them, they were talking $1,000, it could have been for a month, I can't remember, but they were getting $1,000, or we would get $1,000 for her package, and it was going to cost us over $500, $600 for the package that they were going to provide, and that was only going to get, so with all the fees of that cost, that was the cost of fees, sorry.
Yes,
the 560, 600 was the cost of so-called fees, this fee and that fee.
Yes.
And so in the end, all my mother was going to get out of it was down to 1 day a week at a daycare centre and cleaning.
Yes.
And I think it was $30 left at the end of the month for something. And I said, why would I do that? Why would I go to a Care 4 package when all the money's going to your fees?
Yes, well, can I say,
Jenny, that needs to be looked at.
Well, can I say, Jenny, that the important thing for you to do is do a fee comparison, because you would have got the fees from one provider, and it sounds to me like they're charging a case management fee, a daily care fee, an admin fee.
Gosh,
they could be.
Oh yeah, name it.
You name it.
Fees.
Well,
I thought, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, we don't charge.
My mother's in a nursing home now, but what I'm saying is that needs to be looked into.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I do this session, is to educate people and really encourage people to actually do provider comparisons.
They're quite different, aren't they?
Yeah, so each provider charges a different amount, and on our website, Jenny, there is a fee comparison tool that you can download. Now, I know it's a bit late for you, but really, just because one provider has said to you that's how much it costs, it's not the same for every provider. So, you really need to look at the provider's fees and charges and do some comparisons.
But I think if they're receiving money from the government, there should be a bit of law going on there too.
Should be uniform.
Well,
really.
next year, as from April next year, the government is making sure that all aged care providers stipulate what their fees are on the website.
Good, yeah.
And so that they do get consistency of fees.
Good idea. And they'll be competitive.
Yeah, but certainly we are very transparent about what we charge, and a customer would be better off under us.
Thank you very much for bringing that up, Jen.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Jenny.
no, that's all right. That's okay.
Thank you. Bye for now. And final call, we've got Anne.
Hi, Anne.
Oh, hello, Nicky and Jenny. How are you?
Good, thank you.
That's good. I'm just ringing because my mum's been in aged care for the past 4 years, and I visit every evening to feed her and so forth. She has dementia. But as a result, I find that there's not enough staff in our particular one, but I think it's a staffing issue across the board. And I was hoping with this Royal Commission that they would bring in like a ratio for
staffing ratios.
Staffing ratio for carers against residents, because I find that there's not enough staff. They're dishing out the lunches and dinners, and people are waiting to be fed, especially ones that are bedridden.
Yes.
And I'm finding that, like Mum, I go every evening to feed her because she says no, she doesn't want it. And, and I find that, okay, they can't force it. They say they offer it to her twice. If she says no, they take it away.
Yes.
But I go there. She says no to me as well, but that's our cultural issue. She always was at home wanting to feed us first, and, that's how it is. But then she eats everything. They don't have the time to spend with the residents.
Yes.
And I really feel for the ones who don't have family that visits, that don't see what goes on.
Yes, that's right.
And as a result, my mum had 2 broken hips because there's not enough staff to supervise them, and they're walking around without their aid.
Yes.
And now she's bedridden.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awful.
No, look, I do think you raise a really important point about staffing ratios, and that was certainly raised on the television.
Yes, but the minister turned around and said he didn't feel that was very important. But I think unless they do bring in that ratio system and make it compulsory that all nursing homes have this ratio like they do in childcare, well, I find that the money's just not going to be spent, where it should be.
Yes, yeah. Well, of course, as you would know, staff costs are the highest costs of the provider, and so that's where they, because of the funding, that's
but it's
why.
a big issue. It is
a big issue, Anne.
I think that's the result of a lot of things.
It's great that you've called in and raised it, and I also want to say how fantastic it is that you actually do go in and see your mum every day, because, this comes to the point we were talking about before. About, you would notice the changes in your mum because you're seeing her all the time.
I do. I have. And then I'm very pedantic. I stay until they change her the bed because I find that she needs to assist, and, she gets a little bit agitated when they change her, so I'm there to calm her and so forth.
Good on you.
Then I find if I'm not there, who knows what will go on.
What's going on?
What's going on, and if she will get changed until the next day. At least I can be there and witness it for myself and go home with peace of mind. But and you raise these issues with the manager, and then she turns around and says, if I don't like what's happening, to take my mum elsewhere.
Oh,
but I don't think that's very compassionate.
No, it's not. No.
And it shouldn't be a financial, someone can afford to go into a better nursing home, because she said if you want your mum to be cared for better, take her where you pay more. Well, I don't think that's a good response.
No, it's not. No, healthcare, whatever age, Anne, I feel your pain actually. Whatever age, it doesn't matter. Healthcare and responsibility for anybody at any age is the prime importance, without a doubt. And thank you so much for sharing that with us. Much appreciate that.
Oh, lovely. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye,
Okay,
Anne.
bye.
Yeah, see, the rest of the family just feels, mostly, like Anne's family, feel for the situation.
Yes, yeah. I think, look, Anne raises a very important point, and I don't want to shy away from that, but I think that there is a bigger issue here for us as Australians, and that is this whole issue around the cost of care and our preparedness to pay for care. Yeah. And really, whether the government, we can blame the government, but as citizens, that government is acting on the sorts of things that we're saying we value, or what's important to us, or how much tax we're prepared to pay. So,
it's very true. We've got to be responsible for ourselves.
We do, and the issue of care and who pays for care. If we all say, well, the government should pay for my care.
Do you know what we should be doing? From the age of, say, 50 onwards, we should be charged a levy, and it should go into a fund for our aged care.
Well, that. You know
what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, the thing is, we've got to look at different strategies around how we're actually going to fund care.
Have an insurance policy or something.
Absolutely.
That you've got, like superannuation, you've got a lump sum that will make sure that you're well cared for.
Yeah, because what we're seeing is, people who can afford to pay get the services, or people who are severely financially disadvantaged will get services. But the people in the middle, unless they can pay for it, they won't get the services.
No, it's a horrible situation. You're held at ransom, aren't you? Unless you pay top dollar, you're not going to get the best service.
Yeah, well, that's where I think we're going to start to see different sorts of models. We're going to see, 4 or 5 people in a street getting together and saying, well, actually, maybe we employ our own person, or maybe we engage with someone like Southcare who comes out, but, we're all in our own homes. So there will be different models of care.
Without a doubt. Get it right before we get there, will you?
Yeah, I will.
Good on you. Good on you, Nicky. Thank you. It's always good to see you. Nicky Howe from Southcare.
Thank you.
Get on board Crown's Railway Express promotion this October. And you